Welcome to this explainer. Let's jump right in, because today we're uncovering a seriously fascinating historical transformation. We're looking at a warrior from one of the absolute bloodiest periods in Chinese history, a guy who died way back around 220 CE. But here's the wild part. We're going to see how he evolved into this eternal, cross-cultural symbol of trust and integrity. His name? Guan Yu, also known as Guan Gong, or Lord Guan.
Now, think about this for a second. What if I told you that one of the most worshipped figures in East Asia wasn't a philosopher or a king or a spiritual guru, but a military man? It's a total paradox, right? Centuries after his death, Guan Yu is revered not for his body count or battlefield dominance, but for his literally unbreakable morality. In a world where people are constantly flipping sides for a quick buck or a bit of status, he represents the absolute power of becoming someone who simply cannot be bought.
Okay, Section 1. The warrior turned moral symbol, from military general to cultural archetype. So, Guan Yu started out as a real, historical general, serving a leader named Liu Bi during the late Eastern Han and Three Kingdoms period. But over the centuries, his actual historical life got wrapped up in generations of storytelling, especially through the famous Romance of the Three Kingdoms. And that distinction is huge. The figure we know today is this incredible mix of historical reality, literary hero, and religious symbol. Because, let's face it, people don't preserve a guy's memory for 2 millennia just because he was strong. They remember him because he represents something essential.
And the real reason he survived in our cultural memory? He became the absolute, undisputed epitome of 2 core Confucian virtues. First, there's Yi, which means righteousness, and second, Zong, meaning loyalty. He completely embodied these ideas. Just take a moment to let that sink in. A battlefield warrior somehow became the ultimate moral archetype for literally millions of people.
Moving on to Section 2. Character is your real currency when integrity gets a price tag. According to tradition, Guan Yu ended up captured by his powerful rival, Cao Cao. But Cao Cao didn't just torture or threaten him. He did something much more clever. He tried to buy him. He offered Guan Yu immense wealth, elite status, luxurious gifts, and even the legendary red-hair horse, all just to get him to switch sides. But Guan Yu? He flat out refused to abandon his commitment to his leader.
Let's put this in modern terms, right? Imagine a ruthless boss offering you a massive promotion, but only if you betray a close colleague, or a company handing you a huge paycheck to quietly look the other way on something unethical. Suddenly, your character has a literal price tag. Guan Yu's absolute refusal teaches us a brutally simple lesson. If everything about you is negotiable, well, eventually, someone is going to bite.
So here's the real takeaway. Your reputation isn't just something you passively have, it's something you actively build. Every single time you keep a tough promise when it would be so much easier to break it, every time you tell the truth when lying would make you a quick buck, and every time you pick a long-term relationship over a short-term reward, you are investing in your character. Money compounds financially, sure, but character compounds socially. And honestly, sometimes that character becomes the most valuable asset you will ever own.
Which brings us to Section 3. The paradox of loyalty and trust, and why blind loyalty is actually dangerous. Look, Guan Yu's story isn't just a bumper sticker that says, always be loyal. Actually, that's incredibly dangerous advice. Think about being loyal to a corrupt business, or sticking around in a toxic, abusive relationship. That isn't righteousness. That's just blind attachment, and it can completely destroy your life.
To actually apply this ancient wisdom safely, we need to upgrade our thinking. We've got to shift our focus from asking, who am I loyal to asking, what am I loyal to? Don't just blindly follow people. Be consciously loyal to principles. People will let you down. Institutions will collapse. But if you ground yourself in principles like truth, justice, and basic human dignity, you've got a compass that will literally never fail you.
And this brilliantly explains why merchants, over the centuries, eventually worshipped this warrior as a god of wealth. Sounds kind of weird at first, doesn't it? A guy with a sword as a god of commerce? But psychologically, it hits the nail on the head. Business is fundamentally built on trust. Just look at person A and person B. If person A is a total genius, but completely dishonest, and person B is maybe slightly less talented, but absolutely trustworthy, Who are you building a 10-year business with? Person B, every single time. Intelligence might create an opportunity, but absolute trust creates continuity. You want to become so incredibly reliable that your name itself becomes a guarantee.
Let's look at section 4, discipline and courage under pressure. I absolutely love this bridge metaphor. Anyone can claim to have high principles on a good day, but true character is like a bridge. You don't test a bridge by pointing out how pretty it looks on a sunny afternoon. You test it by driving a 10-ton truck over it. When you are angry or afraid or tempted, or crucially, when nobody is watching, that is when your true structural integrity is actually revealed.
So before you make a really tough decision under that kind of pressure, try this quick 3-step exercise. Stop and ask yourself, 1, what do I want right now? 2, what is the right thing to do? And 3, and this one is the real game changer, who will I become if I choose this? Most of us only ever think about the immediate consequences, but very few think about identity. Every single choice you make is a vote for your future self. If you lie today, you're just strengthening the identity of someone who lies.
Guan Yu is remembered as a warrior, sure, but modern courage rarely requires a sword. In fact, true modern courage is almost entirely psychological. It's having the guts to tell the truth. It's the courage to sincerely apologize, to walk away from easy money, and maybe the absolute hardest one, having the courage to disappoint other people rather than betraying your own values. Society loves to reward conformity. Everyone's chasing the same money. Everyone's faking it online. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can possibly do is resist the urge to just become a carbon copy of everyone around you.
So why exactly do we remember Guan Yu so clearly? Well, humans are wired to remember abstract values through powerful symbols. Integrity, on its own, is just this abstract philosophical concept. But when you take integrity and give it an unforgettable, loyal, red face, a magnificent long beard, they literally called him Lord Magnificent Beard, throw in some green robes and a legendary horse, suddenly that philosophy is permanently etched in your brain. Culture creates these heroes to give our deepest values a recognizable face. All right, section 5. The modern Guan action framework. Let's make this super practical and apply this ancient legend directly to your daily life. Here's the 4-step breakdown. G. Ground yourself in principles. Actually write down the values you refuse to betray, not just buzzwords that sound cool, but your real lines in the sand. U. Understand your loyalties. Take a hard look at whether your loyalties are actively chosen by you or just programmed by society and fear. A. Act consistently when nobody is watching. Don't wait for some dramatic movie moment. Practice integrity in the tiny stuff, like handing back extra change at the store. And N. Never trade your identity for temporary rewards. Jobs change, money comes and goes. Never make the horrific bargain of achieving high status but waking up hating the person you've become. And finally, section 6. Building a lasting legacy, an immortality of impact. Let's just marvel at the incredible scale of Guan Yu's impact over the centuries. Military leaders saw his courage. Confucians saw his righteousness. Taoists brought him into their religion. Buddhists venerated him. Merchants saw him as a guardian of prosperity. The fact that all these completely different groups found their own profound meaning in this one single guy, it proves that supreme trustworthiness transcends absolutely any boundary. It leaves us with this really powerful truth. A meaningful life becomes larger than the individual who lived it. Now, you might never become famous. You might not have giant bronze statues built in your honor or be worshipped as a deity. But by leaving a real impact on a kid who remembers your kindness, a student who uses your advice, or a business partner who never forgets your absolute honesty, you are achieving another very real kind of immortality.
The absolute core of this entire story comes down to this. When the money disappears, your character remains. When the power fades away, your reputation remains. The deepest lesson of the Guan Yu legend has nothing to do with swords or legendary horses. It's that your greatest wealth is never the money or the status you possess. It is the kind of person you become while you possess it.
So I want to leave you with a final provocative thought today. Ask yourself tonight, if my name completely disappeared tomorrow, what would people remember about the way I lived?
Are you the kind of person who constantly changes personalities depending on who's in the room? Or are you doing the incredibly hard work of building a character that simply cannot be purchased? Really think about it, because the world doesn't desperately need more powerful people, it needs more principled people with power. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I truly hope this helps you build a reputation that speaks for you, long before you even say a word.